The morning sun cast long shadows across the Riverside shooting complex as Staff Sergeant Marcus Chen pulled his truck into the parking lot. The familiar weight of his rifle case in the passenger seat brought a sense of calm that only fellow marksmen could understand. After 3 deployments with SEAL Team 5 and countless hours spent perfecting his craft, Saturday mornings at the range had become his meditation. Marcus stepped out of his vehicle, breathing in the crisp October air that carried the faint scent of gunpowder and autumn leaves. The shooting complex buzzed with its usual weekend activity, hunters sighting in their rifles for deer season, competitive shooters fine-tuning their equipment, and newcomers taking their first tentative steps into the world of precision shooting. He had volunteered for the basic marksmanship program 6 months ago, partly to give back to the civilian community and partly because teaching helped him process his own experiences. The transition from active duty to civilian life hadn't been as smooth as he had hoped, and sharing his knowledge with others provided a sense of purpose that office work simply couldn't match. "Morning, Marcus," called out Jim Rodriguez, the range safety officer, as he approached with a clipboard full of sign-up sheets. "Got an interesting group today. Mix of college students, a few retirees, and someone who claims they've never held a firearm before." Marcus nodded, securing his rifle case with practiced efficiency. "The nervous ones often surprise you the most. They listen better than the ones who think they already know everything." The truth was, Marcus had developed a reputation among the instructors for his patience with beginners. Where other former military personnel might grow frustrated with civilian students who couldn't immediately master basic concepts, Marcus understood that everyone's journey with firearms was different. His own path had been shaped by necessity and intensive training, but he recognized that civilian shooters had the luxury of learning at their own pace. The student orientation area filled gradually with the day's participants. Marcus scanned the group, automatically cataloging the individuals based on their body language and equipment choices. There was the eager hunter who had brought enough gear for a week-long expedition, the older gentleman who kept nervously adjusting his ear protection, and the college-aged woman who sat apart from the others, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She caught his attention immediately, not because of her appearance, but because of her posture. Most nervous first-time shooters displayed obvious signs of anxiety, fidgeting, excessive talking, or constant questions about safety procedures. This young woman was different. She sat perfectly still, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, wearing simple jeans and a university sweatshirt that read State Engineering Program. Her stillness wasn't relaxation, it was the kind of focused attention that Marcus had learned to recognize in high-stress situations. "All right, everyone, let's get started," Jim announced, gathering the group near the covered instruction area. "I want to welcome you all to our basic marksmanship program. Before we handle any firearms, we're going to spend time on safety, fundamentals, and proper procedures." Marcus stepped forward, his voice carrying the calm authority that came from years of training others in life-or-death situations. "My name is Marcus Chen. I'll be your primary instructor today. Before we begin, I need everyone to understand that everything we do here is built around safety. There are no stupid questions, and there's no pressure to perform beyond your comfort level." He gestured toward the woman in the university sweatshirt. "Let's start with introductions. Tell us your name and what brings you here today." She looked up, meeting his eyes directly. "I'm Sarah Mitchell. I'm a senior in mechanical engineering, and I'm here because I want to understand how precision instruments work under real-world conditions." Her voice was steady, matter-of-fact. "I've never fired a gun before, but I've studied ballistics theory for a project on projectile motion." Marcus felt a flicker of interest. Most beginners cited personal protection, hunting, or simple curiosity as their motivation. Sarah's academic approach was unusual, and her mention of ballistics theory suggested a deeper understanding of the physics involved than most newcomers possessed. The introductions continued around the circle. The hunter, Bob, wanted to improve his accuracy for the upcoming season. The retiree, Frank, was fulfilling a long-time curiosity about shooting sports. A young man named David had been encouraged by friends to try something new. Each person's motivation provided Marcus with insight into how to tailor his instruction to their individual needs. "Before we move to the firing line," Marcus began, "we need to cover the fundamental principles of marksmanship. These principles apply whether you're shooting a .22 rifle or a precision long-range system." He moved to the whiteboard and began sketching simple diagrams. Marksmanship is about consistency and control. Every shot is the result of multiple variables working together: your body position, breathing, sight alignment, trigger control, and follow-through. The goal isn't to be perfect on your first shot, it's to understand these variables so you can repeat successful shots. Sarah raised her hand. When you say consistency, are you referring to the mechanical repeatability of the human element, or the standardization of environmental factors? Marcus paused, genuinely surprised by the precision of her question. Both, actually. The human element is typically the largest source of variation in any shooting system. Environmental factors like wind, temperature, and humidity affect projectile flight, but, for beginning shooters at close range, those effects are minimal compared to basic fundamentals. He noticed that Sarah was taking notes, not just during his explanations, but during other students' questions as well. Her engineering background was evident in how she organized information, treating marksmanship as a system to be understood rather than just a skill to be acquired. The group moved to the shooting benches for the practical portion of the training. Marcus demonstrated proper rifle handling with a standard .22 caliber training rifle, emphasizing the safety protocols that had been drilled into him during his military career. Each student would start with the same equipment, learning basic principles before advancing to different platforms. Sarah, would you like to go first? Marcus asked, noting that she had been observing intently but hadn't volunteered for any demonstrations. She approached the shooting bench with careful deliberation, accepting the rifle as if she were handling a complex scientific instrument. Marcus guided her through the basic position, noting how quickly she absorbed his corrections to her stance and grip. The sight picture should be clear and consistent, he explained, positioning himself beside her. Focus on the front sight, let the target blur slightly in the background. When you're ready, take a breath, exhale halfway, and squeeze the trigger straight back. Sarah's first shot produced a small hole in the target's 8-ring, impressively close to center for a complete beginner. Her second shot was in the 9-ring. By her fifth shot, she had moved into the 10-ring and was maintaining a grouping that would have been respectable from an experienced shooter. Marcus found himself paying closer attention to her technique. She wasn't just lucky, she was applying consistent fundamentals with each shot. Her breathing was controlled, her position remained stable, and her trigger control showed no signs of the jerking or flinching that plagued most new shooters. How does it feel? He asked as she set down the rifle after completing her first 10-round string. Interesting, she replied, examining her target through the spotting scope. The mechanical principles are straightforward, but the precision required for consistent execution is more demanding than I expected. There's definitely a skill component that goes beyond theoretical understanding. Marcus nodded, impressed by her analytical approach. Would you like to try something a bit more challenging? He had been planning to keep all students on the basic training rifles for the entire session, but Sarah's performance suggested she could handle more advanced equipment. More importantly, her scientific curiosity about precision instruments might be satisfied by experiencing a higher quality shooting system. What did you have in mind? She asked. Marcus glanced toward his personal rifle case. Inside was a custom-built precision rifle that he had developed over years of competition and military service. It was significantly more capable than the training rifles, with precision optics and carefully tuned mechanics that could demonstrate the full potential of marksmanship principles when properly applied. I have a precision rifle that might interest you from an engineering perspective, he said. It's built to much tighter tolerances than these training rifles. If you're curious about how precision instruments perform under controlled conditions, it might be worth experiencing. Sarah's eyes lit up with genuine interest. I'd like that very much. As Marcus opened his rifle case, he felt a moment of hesitation. The rifle represented years of personal investment and countless hours of practice. He had never let a complete novice handle it before, but something about Sarah's approach and natural ability suggested she would treat it with appropriate respect. The custom rifle was immediately different from the training equipment. Where the .22 rifles were functional but basic, Marcus's rifle was precision engineered for accuracy. The stock was adjustable to fit different body types, the trigger was crisp and predictable, and the optics provided crystal clear magnification of distant targets. This is a .308 caliber rifle, Marcus explained as he made adjustments to accommodate Sarah's dimensions. It has more recoil than the .22, but the precision potential is significantly higher. The same fundamentals apply, but you'll be able to see the effects of small technique variations more clearly. He set up a target at 100 yards, much further than the 25-yard distance they had been using for basic training. At this range, minor errors in fundamentals would be magnified, but successful shots would demonstrate the true capability of precision shooting. Sarah settled behind the rifle, making small adjustments to her position based on Marcus's guidance. The larger caliber required slight modifications to her technique, and Marcus found himself providing more detailed coaching than he had originally planned. "Take your time," he said. "Feel how the rifle sits in your hands. The trigger will break cleanly at about 2 pounds of pressure." Sarah's first shot with the precision rifle struck the target near center, creating a small, clean hole that would have been respectable from any shooter. Her second shot was closer to center. By her third shot, Marcus was beginning to suspect that Sarah's natural ability extended far beyond what he had initially observed. "The grouping is much tighter than with the training rifle," she noted, examining her shots through the spotting scope. "The mechanical precision of the system definitely translates to better results when the fundamentals are applied correctly." Marcus looked through his own spotting scope, measuring the distance between her shots. The group was smaller than many experienced shooters achieved with the same rifle. More importantly, each shot showed evidence of consistent technique rather than lucky placement. "Sarah," he said, his voice carrying a note of genuine curiosity, "have you done any other precision activities? Archery, precision manufacturing, anything that requires fine motor control?" She shook her head. "Not really. I mean, I work with precise measurements in engineering projects, but nothing like this." "Why do you ask?" Marcus hesitated, unsure how to explain what he was observing. In his military career, he had worked with some of the most skilled marksmen in the world. He had also trained hundreds of soldiers and civilians in shooting fundamentals. What Sarah was demonstrating went beyond good instruction or beginner's luck. She was displaying an intuitive understanding of precision shooting that typically took years to develop. "Your natural ability is quite remarkable," he said finally. "Most people struggle with basic consistency for months before achieving the kind of precision you're showing today." Sarah looked thoughtful. "It feels logical, I suppose. The physics make sense, and the mechanical requirements are clear. Once you understand the system, it's a matter of consistent execution." Her casual analysis of marksmanship as simply another engineering problem struck Marcus as both refreshing and somewhat humbling. Years of military training and competitive shooting had taught him to view precision shooting as a demanding discipline requiring extensive practice and dedication. Sarah's perspective suggested that natural aptitude combined with analytical thinking could accelerate the learning process significantly. "Would you be interested in trying some longer-range shooting?" Marcus asked. "There's a 200-yard range that might give you a better sense of how environmental factors affect precision." Sarah nodded enthusiastically. "That sounds perfect." As they moved to the longer-range facility, Marcus found himself reconsidering his assumptions about talent, training, and the development of precision skills. Sarah's performance challenged conventional wisdom about the learning curve for marksmanship, and her analytical approach provided insights that could benefit his teaching methods with future students. The afternoon sun was beginning to shift, creating subtle changes in lighting conditions that experienced shooters learned to read and compensate for. At 200 yards, these environmental factors would become more significant, providing Sarah with a more complete introduction to the complexities of precision shooting. Marcus set up the target and made final adjustments to the rifle's scope, explaining how optical settings needed to be modified for different distances. Sarah listened intently, asking questions that demonstrated her growing understanding of the relationship between equipment capabilities and shooter technique. "The fundamentals remain the same," Marcus explained, "but you'll need to account for bullet drop and be more aware of wind effects. Take your time with each shot and focus on consistency." As Sarah settled into position behind the rifle, Marcus realized that this training session had evolved far beyond his original expectations. What had begun as a routine introduction to basic marksmanship had become something more significant, a discovery of exceptional natural talent and a meeting between two people whose lives were about to change in ways neither of them could yet imagine. The 200-yard range stretched before them like a proving ground for precision. Marcus watched as Sarah adjusted her position behind his custom rifle, her movements deliberate and thoughtful. The afternoon light cast sharp shadows across the shooting bench, creating the kind of contrast that could challenge even experienced marksmen. "At this distance, you'll begin to see how small variations in technique translate to larger effects on target," Marcus explained, settling beside her with his spotting scope.
The fundamentals we practiced at shorter range become more critical here.
Sarah nodded, her eye finding the scope's clear picture of the distant target. Through the magnified view, the bullseye appeared crisp and well-defined, but she could see how a slight tremor or inconsistent trigger pull would result in noticeable displacement at this range. Her first shot broke cleanly, the rifle's recoil pushing back against her shoulder in a controlled manner. Through the spotting scope, Marcus watched the bullet impact near the center of the target, creating a clean hole that spoke to proper technique and equipment capability.
Excellent placement, he said, making notes on his clipboard. How did the shot feel to you? Clean, Sarah replied, working the bolt to chamber another round. The trigger break was predictable, and I maintained sight alignment through the recoil. The scope returns to the same picture, which makes follow-up shots more intuitive. Marcus found himself increasingly impressed by Sarah's technical vocabulary and analytical approach.
Most beginning shooters describe their shots in emotional terms: scary, exciting, or surprising. Sarah treated each shot as a data point in an ongoing experiment, analyzing cause and effect relationships between technique and results. Her second shot landed within an inch of the first, demonstrating consistency that exceeded Marcus's expectations for any novice shooter. By her fifth shot, she had created a group that measured less than 2 inches across, performance that would earn respect at any shooting competition.
Sarah, Marcus said, lowering his spotting scope, I need to ask you something directly. Are you certain you've never done precision shooting before?
What you're demonstrating is quite unusual for someone with no prior experience. She looked up from the rifle, genuinely puzzled by his question.
I'm sure. I mean, I've never even held a gun before today. Is there something wrong with my shooting?
Nothing wrong at all, Marcus assured her.
Quite the opposite. Your natural ability is remarkable. Most shooters spend months developing the consistency you're showing right now.
Sarah considered this information with the same analytical approach she applied to engineering problems.
Maybe it's because I'm treating it like any other precision task. In manufacturing, we work with tolerances measured in thousandths of an inch.
This seems similar, understanding the variables and controlling them systematically. Her explanation made sense from a theoretical perspective, but Marcus had worked with plenty of engineers and technical professionals who struggled with basic marksmanship despite understanding the underlying principles. Sarah's performance suggested something beyond analytical thinking, a natural integration of mental and physical processes that couldn't be easily taught or replicated.
Would you like to try something more challenging?
Marcus asked, an idea forming in his mind. There's a precision shooting exercise that I use to evaluate advanced marksmen.
It might interest you from a technical standpoint. Sarah's eyes brightened with curiosity. What kind of exercise? Marcus pulled a specialized target from his equipment bag.
Instead of traditional bullseye rings, this target featured multiple small diamonds arranged in a grid pattern.
Each diamond was numbered, and successful engagement required precise shot placement under varying conditions.
This is called a precision array, he explained, setting up the target at 200 yards. The goal isn't just accuracy, but controlled precision under different shooting positions and time constraints.
It's designed to test both mechanical skill and mental adaptability.
He outlined the exercise parameters: 5 shots from a supported position, followed by 5 shots from an unsupported standing position, with specific diamond targets assigned for each shot. The challenge required maintaining precision while adapting to different shooting positions and following a predetermined sequence. The standing position is significantly more difficult, Marcus warned. Even experienced shooters see their groups open up substantially when shooting without support. Don't be discouraged if your precision decreases.
Sarah nodded, settling into the supported position for her first 5 shots.
Working through the sequence, she engaged each assigned diamond with methodical precision. Her shots weren't just close to the intended targets, they were centered in each diamond with consistency that would have been impressive from a competitive shooter.
Outstanding, Marcus commented, recording her results. Ready for the standing position?
Sarah stood and accepted the rifle, adjusting her stance based on Marcus's guidance for unsupported shooting. The standing position required different muscle groups and balance points, eliminating the stable platform that had aided her earlier shots. Her first standing shot took longer to execute as she worked through the new challenges of maintaining stability without mechanical support. The bullet struck the intended diamond slightly off-center, still well within acceptable precision standards but noticeably different from her supported shooting. That felt less stable, she observed, preparing for her second shot. The sight picture moves more, so I need to time the shot when everything aligns properly.
Marcus nodded, recognizing that Sarah had intuitively grasped one of the most challenging aspects of unsupported precision shooting.
Managing the natural movement of the sight picture and timing shot execution required experience and practice that she simply hadn't had time to develop.
Her subsequent standing shots showed rapid improvement as she adapted to the new requirements.
By her final shot, she had adjusted her technique to compensate for the additional challenges, producing results that were remarkably close to her supported shooting performance.
"How do you feel about that exercise?" Marcus asked as Sarah set down the rifle.
Intellectually challenging, she replied, examining her target through the spotting scope. The mechanical principles remain the same, but the human element becomes much more variable.
It's like trying to perform precision measurements on an unstable work surface. Marcus laughed at her engineering analogy. That's actually a perfect description.
Most shooters struggle with that concept for quite a while. As they collected their equipment and prepared to return to the main range area, Marcus found himself considering possibilities he hadn't contemplated before the day began. Sarah's natural ability, combined with her analytical mindset and obvious dedication to excellence, suggested potential that extended far beyond recreational shooting.
"Sarah," he said as they walked back toward the instruction area, "would you be interested in learning more about precision shooting? Not just as an academic exercise, but as a skill you might want to develop further?"
She looked thoughtful. "I hadn't considered it before today, but yes, I think I would. There's obviously much more depth to this than I initially understood. The precision requirements and problem-solving aspects appeal to me." "There are competitive shooting sports that might interest you," Marcus continued. "Precision rifle matches that combine technical challenges with the kind of systematic thinking you naturally apply. Some of the best competitive shooters come from engineering backgrounds." They reached the main instruction area where other students were completing their basic training exercises. Marcus noticed that several of them had been watching Sarah's performance with the precision rifle, clearly impressed by what they had observed. Marcus called out Jim Rodriguez, the range safety officer, as he approached with his clipboard.
"How did the advanced exercise go?"
"See for yourself," Marcus replied, handing over Sarah's target. Jim examined the target with obvious surprise.
"This is from a first-time shooter? Are you sure she hasn't been sandbagging her experience level?" "I'm positive," Marcus said. "Sarah's approach to marksmanship is quite unique."
Jim studied the target more carefully, noting the consistent precision and the successful transition from supported to unsupported shooting positions. "I've been running this program for 8 years, and I've never seen results like this from someone with no prior experience."
"Have you considered suggesting she try competitive shooting?" Marcus nodded.
"We were just discussing that possibility." As the other students completed their exercises and began collecting their equipment, Marcus found himself reluctant to end the training session. Sarah's performance had been remarkable, but, beyond the technical achievements, he had genuinely enjoyed working with someone who brought such focus and analytical thinking to precision shooting. "Sarah," he said as she gathered her notes and personal items, "I run advanced marksmanship clinics on weekends for shooters who want to develop beyond basic level.
The next session is focused on long-range precision shooting and environmental factors. Would you be interested in attending?"
"Definitely," she replied without hesitation.
"Today has shown me how much there is to learn about precision shooting. I'd like to understand more about the technical aspects."
Marcus pulled a business card from his wallet and wrote additional information on the back.
"The clinic information is on the front. My personal contact information is on the back. Feel free to call if you have questions about equipment or preparation." Sarah accepted the card and studied it briefly.
Marcus Chen, Precision Marksmanship Instruction.
Competitive Shooting Consultant. She looked up. "This is your profession?"
"Part of it," Marcus replied. "I do consulting work with competitive shooters and law enforcement agencies. I also conduct training for military personnel transitioning to civilian shooting sports."
"Military background?" Sarah asked, her curiosity evident. Marcus nodded. "Navy SEALs."
Precision shooting was an essential part of my military specialty.
Sarah's expression showed new understanding. "That explains your teaching approach. You present technical information clearly and focus on systematic skill development rather than just telling people what to do. Good observation, Marcus said, impressed once again by her analytical thinking. Military training emphasizes understanding principles rather than just memorizing procedures. It makes the learning process more effective and helps people adapt to new situations. As other students began departing the range, Marcus realized that his Saturday morning training session had evolved into something much more significant than he had anticipated. Meeting Sarah and discovering her remarkable natural ability had reminded him why he enjoyed teaching precision shooting, the opportunity to share knowledge with someone who could truly appreciate the technical and mental challenges involved. I should head out, Sarah said, glancing at her watch. Thank you for taking the extra time to work with me today. I learned much more than I expected. Thank you for being such an excellent student, Marcus replied. It's rare to work with someone who grasps the fundamentals so quickly and asks such insightful questions. They walked together toward the parking area, continuing their discussion about precision shooting and competitive opportunities. Marcus found himself looking forward to the advanced clinic, curious to see how Sarah would perform with more challenging exercises and equipment. One more question, Sarah said as they reached her car. In your military experience, how common is natural shooting ability like what you observed today? Marcus considered the question carefully. In my entire career, I've encountered perhaps a dozen individuals who displayed the kind of natural precision and adaptability you demonstrated today. Most of them became exceptional marksmen with proper training and practice. Sarah smiled. Then, I suppose I should take this opportunity seriously. I think you should, Marcus agreed. Natural ability combined with the right training and mindset can lead to remarkable achievements. As Sarah drove away from the range, Marcus reflected on the unexpected developments of the day. He had arrived expecting to conduct routine basic training for recreational shooters. Instead, he had discovered someone whose natural ability and analytical approach could potentially excel in competitive precision shooting. More importantly, he had enjoyed the teaching experience more than any session in recent memory. Working with someone who brought genuine curiosity and systematic thinking to precision shooting had reminded him why he had been drawn to marksmanship instruction in the first place. The advanced clinic scheduled for the following weekend would provide an opportunity to explore Sarah's potential more thoroughly. Marcus found himself already planning exercises and challenges that would test her abilities while providing the technical education she seemed to crave. As he secured his equipment and prepared to leave the range, Marcus considered the possibility that this day's chance encounter might mark the beginning of something significant, not just for Sarah's development as a precision shooter, but for his own growth as an instructor and mentor. The afternoon sun was setting behind the hills as Marcus drove home, his mind already focused on preparing for the advanced clinic and the opportunity to continue working with his most promising student. The Saturday morning air carried a crisp bite that promised excellent shooting conditions as Sarah arrived at the Riverside Shooting Complex for Marcus's advanced marksmanship clinic. She had spent the week researching precision shooting techniques and studying ballistics calculations, approaching her continued education with the same methodical preparation she applied to engineering projects. Marcus was already setting up equipment when she approached the advanced range facility. Unlike the basic training area, this section featured shooting positions at multiple distances extending to 500 yards, with wind flags positioned at regular intervals to help shooters read environmental conditions. Good morning, Sarah, Marcus called out, noting her early arrival. Ready for some new challenges? Definitely, she replied, observing the more complex range layout. I've been reading about long-range shooting variables. I'm curious to experience how theory translates to practice at extended distances. Marcus smiled, impressed by her continued dedication to understanding the technical aspects of precision shooting. Today's clinic focuses on environmental factors, ballistics calculations, and precision shooting under varying conditions. We'll be working at distances up to 400 yards. 2 other participants arrived as Marcus finished his equipment setup. David Kim was a competitive shooter looking to improve his long-range performance, and Janet Stevens was a former military police officer transitioning to civilian precision shooting. Both brought significantly more experience than Sarah, but Marcus had learned not to underestimate her ability to adapt to new challenges. Let's begin with a discussion of environmental factors, Marcus announced, gathering the group around a whiteboard he had set up near the shooting line. At extended ranges, variables like wind speed, direction, temperature, and humidity begin to affect bullet flight in measurable ways.
He sketched a diagram showing bullet trajectory over different distances, illustrating how external factors increasingly influenced precision as range extended. At 100 yards, these effects are minimal. At 400 yards, they can cause misses even with perfect shooting technique. Sarah raised her hand. How do you quantify and compensate for these variables? Are there standardized calculation methods, or do you rely on observation and adjustment?
Both, Marcus replied.
There are ballistics programs that can calculate theoretical bullet drop and wind drift based on known conditions. However, field conditions often differ from theoretical calculations, so skilled shooters learn to read environmental signs and make real-time adjustments.
David nodded with understanding.
In competition, you get sighter shots to verify your calculations against actual conditions.
But you need to understand the theory first. Marcus distributed datasheets showing ballistic information for the ammunition they would be using.
These charts provide baseline information for bullet drop at various distances.
Today we'll learn to apply this data while accounting for environmental factors.
The first exercise involved shooting at 200 yards with documented wind conditions. Marcus had positioned wind flags at 50-yard intervals, providing visual indicators of wind speed and direction changes between the shooting position and target. Sarah, since you're newer to extended range shooting, let's start with a detailed explanation of reading wind conditions, Marcus said, handing her a spotting scope. Look at the flags between here and the target. What do you observe? Sarah studied the flags carefully, noting their movement patterns and relative positions. The flags show variable conditions. The closest flag indicates wind from the left at maybe 5 to 7 miles per hour. The flag at 100 yards shows similar direction but appears to be moving more actively.
The flag near the target shows less movement, suggesting lighter conditions there.
Marcus was impressed by her detailed observation.
Excellent analysis. How would you expect those conditions to affect bullet flight?
The bullet will experience the strongest deflection in the middle portion of its flight path, Sarah replied after considering the wind pattern.
Since the wind is from the left, the bullet should impact right of the aiming point.
The variable wind speeds make precise calculation difficult, so I would expect to need adjustment based on observed results.
Perfect reasoning, Marcus said. David and Janet, any additions to that analysis? David studied the wind flags again. I agree with Sarah's assessment.
I might start with a half-minute windage correction and adjust based on the first shot.
Marcus nodded approvingly. That's exactly the approach experienced shooters use.
Theory provides the starting point, but observation and adjustment refine the solution. Sarah's first shot at 200 yards with wind compensation struck slightly right of center, confirming her analysis of wind conditions. Her adjustment for the second shot moved the impact to near perfect center, demonstrating her ability to process feedback and make appropriate corrections.
Quick adaptation, Marcus observed. How did you determine the adjustment amount?
The first shot impact was about 3 inches right of center, Sarah explained.
At 200 yards, that represents approximately 1.5 minutes of angle.
I adjusted 1 minute left and achieved better center. Marcus found himself constantly impressed by Sarah's technical approach to precision shooting. Where many shooters relied on intuition and experience, Sarah applied systematic analysis to every aspect of the discipline. The next exercise moved the group to 300 yards, introducing additional complexity in both ballistics calculations and environmental reading. At this distance, bullet drop became significant, requiring elevation adjustments beyond the basic sight settings used for shorter ranges. At 300 yards, you'll need to account for bullet drop in addition to wind effects, Marcus explained, showing the ballistics data for their ammunition. According to these charts, you should expect approximately 18 inches of drop compared to a 100-yard zero.
Sarah studied the data carefully. The charts show drop calculations based on standard atmospheric conditions. How do current conditions compare to the standard? Marcus checked his environmental monitoring equipment.
Temperature is about 15 degrees above standard, and we're at 1,200 feet elevation instead of sea level.
Both factors will affect bullet performance. Higher temperature increases velocity, reducing drop, Sarah reasoned. Lower air density at elevation also reduces drag.
Both effects should decrease the amount of drop compared to chart values.
Exactly right, Marcus confirmed. Advanced shooters learn to make these mental calculations automatically.
Ballistics software can provide precise calculations, but understanding the underlying principles allows you to make intelligent estimates.
Sarah's performance at 300 yards continued to exceed expectations.
Her first shot struck within 2 inches of center, and subsequent shots maintained precision that demonstrated mastery of the additional variables introduced by extended range shooting. Janet, the former military police officer, approached Marcus during a break in the exercise.
I have to ask about Sarah's background.
Her technique and analytical approach are remarkable for someone who just started shooting last weekend.
Marcus nodded.
She's genuinely new to shooting, but her engineering background provides excellent foundation for understanding precision work.
More importantly, she has natural ability that's quite rare. David overheard their conversation.
Natural ability is definitely part of it, but her systematic approach to problem solving makes a huge difference. She treats each shot as a learning opportunity rather than just trying to hit the target. The afternoon's final exercise would test all participants at 400 yards, requiring integration of all environmental factors and precision techniques they had practiced.
At this distance, small errors in reading conditions or applying fundamentals would result in noticeable misses.
Marcus set up targets at the 400-yard line and gathered the group for final instructions. This distance separates recreational shooters from serious precision marksmen.
Everything we've discussed today becomes critical for success.
He reviewed the wind conditions, which had shifted since the morning session. The flags now showed a quartering wind from the right rear, creating both deflection and slight velocity effects on bullet flight. Take your time with each shot, Marcus advised. Read the conditions carefully, apply your corrections, and focus on fundamental shooting technique. Don't be discouraged if your groups open up. This is challenging shooting even for experienced marksmen. Sarah settled behind the rifle, studying the wind flags and calculating her adjustments based on the afternoon's lessons. The 400-yard target appeared small through the rifle scope, emphasizing the precision required for successful engagement. Her first shot at maximum range took nearly a minute to execute as she carefully read conditions and applied her sight corrections. The bullet struck approximately 4 inches high and 2 inches right of center, close enough to confirm her calculations but indicating the need for minor adjustments.
Good first shot, Marcus commented. What adjustments do you think are needed? Sarah analyzed her shot impact compared to the aiming point. The elevation is slightly high, suggesting my drop calculation was conservative.
The windage is close but needs a small left correction for the quartering wind component. Her second shot incorporated these adjustments and struck within an inch of the target center. The third and fourth shots maintained similar precision, creating a group that would have been respectable from any experienced long-range shooter. David and Janet both struggled more with the 400-yard shooting, their groups opening up as the extended range magnified small inconsistencies in their technique. Both were experienced shooters, but Sarah's analytical approach and natural precision allowed her to maintain accuracy that impressed both her fellow students and Marcus.
Outstanding performance, Sarah, Marcus said as the exercise concluded.
Your ability to integrate environmental factors with fundamental technique is remarkable for someone with such limited experience.
Sarah examined her target with satisfaction.
The systematic approach makes sense to me. Each variable has predictable effects, and successful shooting requires accounting for all of them simultaneously. As they collected equipment and prepared to leave the range, Marcus found himself considering Sarah's potential for competitive precision shooting. Her natural ability combined with analytical thinking and obvious dedication suggested she could excel in formal competition with proper training and practice. Sarah, he said as they walked back toward the parking area, there's a precision rifle match next month that might interest you.
It's a beginner-friendly competition that would give you experience with formal shooting sports. What would be involved, she asked, her curiosity evident.
Marcus outlined the match format, explaining how competitive precision shooting combined technical challenges with time pressure and performance under observation. It would be an excellent opportunity to test your skills in a structured environment and meet other precision shooters.
Sarah considered the proposal thoughtfully. I think I'd like to try that.
Today's exercises have shown me how much there is to learn about precision shooting, and competition would provide clear benchmarks for improvement. I'd be happy to help you prepare, Marcus offered. The match requires specific equipment and knowledge of competitive procedures, but your current skill level suggests you could perform well with proper preparation. As they reached their vehicles, Marcus reflected on the remarkable progress Sarah had demonstrated in just 2 training sessions. Her combination of natural ability, analytical thinking, and dedication to improvement represented exactly the type of student who made teaching precision shooting rewarding.
"Thank you for another excellent learning experience," Sarah said as she prepared to leave.
"I'm looking forward to the competition and continuing to develop these skills."
"Thank you for being such an engaged student," Marcus replied.
"Working with someone who brings such focus and curiosity to precision shooting reminds me why I enjoy teaching this discipline." As Sarah drove away from the range, Marcus began planning her preparation for the upcoming competition.
Her rapid development suggested she could achieve success in competitive shooting with proper guidance and practice.
More importantly, her analytical approach and natural ability were already challenging his own understanding of how precision shooting skills developed. The advanced clinic had confirmed Marcus's initial assessment of Sarah's exceptional potential. Now the question was how far that potential could be developed with proper training and competitive experience. The morning of Sarah's first precision rifle competition arrived with perfect shooting conditions, clear skies, minimal wind, and stable temperature. Marcus arrived at the Rocky Mountain Precision Range early to help Sarah navigate the unfamiliar world of competitive shooting, knowing that technical skills alone wouldn't prepare her for the unique challenges of performing under observation and time pressure. Sarah met him at the registration area, carrying the equipment bag they had assembled during her preparation sessions. Over the past 3 weeks, Marcus had guided her through the essential gear requirements and competition procedures, but he knew that experiencing actual match conditions would be entirely different from practice sessions.
"How are you feeling?"
Marcus asked as they approached the competitor check-in table.
"Nervous, but prepared," Sarah replied honestly.
"I understand the technical requirements, but I have no idea how I'll respond to the competitive environment."
Marcus nodded approvingly. "That's exactly the right mindset.
Natural anxiety can actually improve performance if you channel it properly. The key is focusing on executing the fundamentals you've practiced rather than worrying about scores or rankings." The match format would test competitors through 4 different shooting stages, each presenting unique challenges in distance, position, and time constraints. Stage 1 involved precision shooting from 200 yards in supported positions, Stage 2 required engaging multiple targets at varying distances, Stage 3 tested shooting from awkward field positions, and the final stage challenged competitors with long-range precision under time pressure. "Let's walk through the stages and discuss strategy," Marcus suggested, leading Sarah through the course layout. At the first stage, competitors would engage a standard bullseye target from 200 yards using shooting rests for maximum stability.
This stage emphasized pure precision, with scoring based on accuracy rather than speed.
"This should play to your strengths," Marcus observed.
"You've demonstrated excellent precision at this distance, and the supported position eliminates variables that might challenge newer shooters."
Sarah studied the shooting position and target setup.
"The time limit seems generous for the number of shots required. Is this stage primarily about accuracy?" "Exactly.
Most competitors can achieve reasonable accuracy from supported positions at 200 yards, so small differences in precision determine placement.
Your analytical approach to fundamentals should serve you well here."
The second stage presented a more complex challenge, with targets at 150, 250, and 350 yards requiring specific engagement sequences within time constraints. Competitors would need to make rapid adjustments for different distances while maintaining accuracy across the full range span. This stage tests your ability to apply ballistics knowledge quickly and accurately, Marcus explained.
"You'll need to remember your sight adjustments for each distance and execute them efficiently."
Sarah reviewed her data book, which contained the elevation and windage correction she had developed during practice sessions.
"I've memorized the sight settings for each distance. The challenge will be making smooth transitions without losing focus on fundamentals." Marcus was impressed by her systematic preparation.
That's exactly how experienced competitors approach multi-distance stages. Preparation and mental organization are as important as shooting skill. The third stage would prove most challenging for Sarah, requiring shooting from positions she had limited experience with, standing unsupported, kneeling, and prone without artificial support. These field positions tested a shooter's ability to create stability using only body mechanics and natural support points. This stage is where your engineering background might create some challenges, Marcus warned. Field shooting requires adapting to imperfect conditions rather than creating optimal mechanical setups.
Sarah studied the stage layout, noting the natural terrain features that could provide support or stability.
I understand the theory of field positions, but I haven't practiced them extensively.
Should I expect my accuracy to decrease significantly?
Probably, but don't let that discourage you, Marcus replied. Even experienced shooters see their precision degrade in field positions. The key is maintaining good fundamentals and accepting the limitations of each position. The final stage would test long-range precision at 400 yards under time pressure, requiring competitors to engage small targets with limited opportunities for sight corrections. This stage separated recreational shooters from serious precision marksmen. Your performance at 400 yards during training suggests you can handle this challenge, Marcus encouraged. The time pressure adds stress, but your systematic approach to environmental reading and ballistics calculations should help maintain consistency. As match time approached, Marcus helped Sarah organize her equipment and review her final preparations. Around them, other competitors were conducting similar preparations, checking zero, reviewing stage requirements, and performing warm-up exercises. Remember, Marcus said as Sarah prepared for her first competitive stage, focus on executing one shot at a time. Don't think about overall scores or how other competitors are performing. Treat each shot as an individual problem to solve. Sarah nodded, settling into the shooting position for stage 1. The supported bench setup provided excellent stability, and the 200-yard target appeared clear and well-defined through her rifle scope. She had fired hundreds of rounds at similar distances during practice, but the formal competition environment created an entirely different mental challenge. Her first shot broke cleanly after careful attention to fundamentals, striking the target's 9-ring near center. The shot felt good, confirming her sight settings and environmental readings were appropriate for current conditions. Her subsequent shots maintained excellent consistency, with only minor variations in precision that reflected the natural limits of equipment and shooting skill. When she completed the stage, her target showed a group that would have been respectable from any competitor. Outstanding first stage, Marcus commented as they reviewed her target. How did the competitive environment feel compared to practice? More intense than I expected, Sarah admitted. The knowledge that others were watching and scoring affected my mental focus initially, but I was able to settle into familiar fundamentals after the first shot. The second stage presented new challenges as Sarah worked through the multi-distance target engagement sequence. Her preparation and data book proved invaluable as she smoothly transitioned between different ranges, applying memorized sight corrections with precision and efficiency. Her accuracy remained impressive across all 3 distances, demonstrating mastery of ballistics principles that many more experienced competitors struggled to achieve. The time constraints added pressure, but her systematic approach to problem solving allowed her to maintain focus on essential tasks. Excellent stage management, Marcus observed as Sarah completed the sequence well within the time limit. Your preparation and mental organization really showed in how smoothly you handled the transitions. The third stage, featuring field shooting positions, proved more challenging as Marcus had predicted. Sarah's precision decreased noticeably when shooting from unsupported positions, but her scores remained competitive through careful attention to fundamental principles. The standing position is particularly difficult, she noted after completing that portion of the stage. Maintaining sight alignment while managing natural body movement requires techniques I haven't fully developed. That comes with practice, Marcus assured her. Field shooting is often where experienced competitors show their advantages, but your performance is quite good for someone with limited experience in those positions. The final stage at 400 yards would test Sarah's long-range skills under the additional pressure of time constraints and competitive observation. Marcus watched as she settled into position, noting her careful attention to wind condition reading and sight adjustments. Her first shot struck near center of the target, confirming her environmental calculations and sight settings. The subsequent shots maintained similar precision, creating a group that demonstrated her ability to perform advanced marksmanship skills under competitive pressure. As the match concluded and scores were tabulated, Marcus reflected on Sarah's remarkable performance in her first competition. While she hadn't won overall, her scores placed her in the upper portion of competitors despite her limited experience. How do you feel about your first competitive experience? Marcus asked as they collected equipment. Challenging and educational, Sarah replied. The competitive environment definitely affects performance, but I can see how regular competition would help develop mental skills that practice alone can't provide.
The match director announced results during the closing ceremony, recognizing top performers in various categories.
When Sarah's name was called as the highest-scoring novice competitor, Marcus felt genuine pride in her achievement. "Congratulations," he said as she accepted her award.
"Outstanding performance for a first competition. Thank you for all your help preparing for this," Sarah responded.
"I couldn't have achieved these results without your guidance and training." As competitors began departing, several experienced shooters approached Sarah to discuss her performance and background. Word had spread through the match about the new competitor who had achieved impressive scores despite minimal experience. "Where did you learn to shoot?" asked Tom Bradley, a veteran competitor who had finished second overall. "Your fundamentals are excellent, and your approach to long-range shooting shows real understanding of advanced concepts." Sarah explained her recent introduction to precision shooting and her work with Marcus on developing fundamental skills. Several competitors expressed surprise at her limited experience, noting that her performance suggested much more extensive training. "Natural ability combined with excellent instruction," observed Rebecca Martinez, a successful competitive shooter and match organizer. "That's a powerful combination for developing precision shooting skills." As conversations continued, Marcus realized that Sarah's competitive debut had attracted significant attention from the precision shooting community. Her analytical approach and natural ability, combined with rapid skill development, represented exactly the type of new talent that elevated competitive shooting sports. "Sarah," Rebecca said as the gathering began to disperse, "there's a regional precision rifle championship next month. Based on today's performance, you should definitely consider entering. The level of competition is higher, but I think you'd find it educational and challenging." Sarah looked to Marcus for guidance. "What do you think? Would that be appropriate for my experience level?" Marcus considered the suggestion carefully. Regional championships attracted serious competitors from across multiple states, presenting challenges significantly beyond local matches. However, Sarah's rapid development and competitive performance suggested she could handle advanced competition with proper preparation. "It would be a significant step up in competition level," he said, "but your performance today suggests you're ready for that challenge. The experience alone would be valuable for your development." Sarah's eyes showed the same analytical curiosity that had characterized her approach to learning precision shooting. "I think I'd like to try it. Today has shown me how much competition can teach about shooting under pressure." As they prepared to leave the range, Marcus reflected on the remarkable journey that had begun with Sarah's introduction to basic marksmanship just a month earlier. Her first competitive experience had confirmed his assessment of her exceptional potential while demonstrating her ability to perform under pressure. More importantly, Sarah's success was attracting attention from the broader precision shooting community. Her analytical approach and rapid skill development were already influencing how other competitors thought about training and preparation methods. "Ready to start preparing for regional competition?" Marcus asked as they loaded equipment into their vehicles. "Definitely," Sarah replied with the same focus that had characterized all her shooting endeavors. "I can see that there's still much to learn about competitive precision shooting." As they drove away from the range, both Marcus and Sarah were already planning the training regimen that would prepare her for the next level of competitive challenge. The successful competition debut had opened new possibilities that neither had anticipated when Marcus first placed his rifle in Sarah's hands at a basic training session. The Western Regional Precision Rifle Championship brought together the most skilled competitive shooters from 7 states, transforming the Colorado Springs shooting complex into a proving ground for advanced marksmanship. Sarah arrived with Marcus early Friday morning for equipment check and practice sessions, knowing that this competition would test every skill she had developed over the past 2 months. The championship format would challenge competitors through 6 demanding stages over 2 days, each designed to test different aspects of precision shooting under varying conditions. Unlike the local match where Sarah had made her competitive debut, this event would feature time pressure, environmental challenges, and scoring systems that rewarded only exceptional performance. "The competition level here is significantly higher than anything you've experienced," Marcus warned as they surveyed the complex course layout. "Many of these shooters have been competing for years and have achieved national recognition." Sarah studied the stage descriptions and course maps with her characteristic analytical approach. "The technical requirements seem similar to what we've practiced, but the time constraints are much tighter. Speed will be as important as accuracy." Marcus nodded, noting how quickly Sarah grasped the essential differences between local and regional competition. "Exactly. This level of competition separates shooters who can achieve precision in ideal conditions from those who can perform under pressure. The first stage would test pure precision shooting at 300 yards from supported positions, but with significantly smaller targets and stricter scoring than Sarah had previously encountered. Only shots within the innermost rings would earn maximum points, requiring consistency that exceeded even advanced recreational shooting standards. This stage is designed to establish baseline precision, Marcus explained as they examined the diminutive target. Most competitors can hit these targets, but scoring requires precision that demonstrates mastery of fundamental techniques. Sarah calculated the angular size of the scoring zones, comparing them to targets she had successfully engaged during training. The precision requirements are definitely higher, but within the capability of the equipment and techniques we've practiced. The second stage would challenge competitors with rapid target engagement at multiple distances ranging from 200 to 450 yards, requiring smooth transitions and accurate ballistics calculations under severe time pressure. This stage typically eliminated competitors who hadn't mastered efficient shooting procedures. Time management becomes critical here, Marcus advised. You'll need to move between shooting positions quickly while maintaining mental focus on sight adjustments and environmental factors. Sarah reviewed her data book, which now contained detailed ballistics information for all anticipated distances and environmental conditions. I've practiced the sight adjustment sequences until they're automatic. The challenge will be maintaining fundamental technique while working quickly. The third and fourth stages would test field shooting skills in realistic terrain, requiring competitors to engage targets from improvised positions using natural support points. These stages would challenge Sarah's limited experience with unconventional shooting positions. Field shooting remains your area for improvement, Marcus observed honestly. Your precision from artificial supports is excellent, but creating stability from natural positions requires experience you simply haven't had time to develop. Sarah studied the terrain features that would be available for support during field stages. I understand the limitations. My goal for these stages is to execute solid fundamentals within whatever stability I can create, rather than attempting precision beyond my current capabilities. Marcus appreciated her realistic assessment of strengths and limitations. That's exactly the right approach. Competitive maturity means recognizing when to push for maximum performance and when to focus on consistent execution. The fifth stage would present Sarah's strongest challenge, long-range precision at 500 yards under time pressure with unknown distance targets. This stage required integration of advanced ballistics knowledge with rapid environmental assessment and precise execution. 500 yards is beyond anything you've attempted in competition, Marcus noted. The ballistics calculations become more complex, and environmental factors have greater effect on bullet flight. Sarah had studied the ballistics data extensively and practiced the necessary calculations during training sessions. The theory is straightforward, but applying it accurately under time pressure will be challenging. I'll need to trust my preparation and execute systematically. The final stage would test practical marksmanship skills through a complex scenario requiring rapid problem-solving and adaptive shooting techniques. This stage typically determined championship placement by challenging competitors with unexpected variables and decision-making requirements. The final stage changes every year, Marcus explained, so no one can practice the specific requirements. Success depends on fundamental skills and the ability to adapt to new challenges quickly. As practice sessions began Friday afternoon, Sarah worked through abbreviated versions of each stage while Marcus observed her technique and mental approach. Her precision remained impressive, but the increased pressure and complexity of regional competition clearly affected her performance. You're gripping the rifle more tightly than usual, Marcus observed during practice at the precision stage. Competition stress is affecting your muscle tension, which influences your natural point of aim. Sarah made conscious adjustments to her grip pressure and body position, noting how subtle changes in technique became magnified under competitive pressure. The mental aspect is more challenging than I expected. Maintaining technical focus while managing performance anxiety requires practice I haven't had. Friday evening, Marcus and Sarah reviewed her practice performance and discussed strategy for Saturday's competition. Unlike local matches where her natural ability and analytical approach had provided significant advantages, regional competition would test her ability to perform under maximum pressure against highly skilled opponents. Remember that your goal isn't to win the championship in your first regional competition, Marcus advised. Focus on executing your best performance and learning from the experience.
The competition level here provides learning opportunities you can't get anywhere else. Saturday morning brought challenging wind conditions that would test every competitor's ability to read environmental factors and make accurate adjustments. Sarah arrived at the range early to observe wind patterns and prepare her mental approach for the demanding day ahead. The precision stage started with calm conditions that allowed Sarah to demonstrate her fundamental accuracy skills. Her group measurement placed her among the top third of competitors, an impressive achievement considering her limited competitive experience. "Excellent start," Marcus commented as they moved to the second stage. "Your fundamentals held up well under the increased pressure." The multi-distance stage proved more challenging as Sarah worked to maintain shooting efficiency while applying sight corrections under time pressure. Her systematic approach served her well, but the compressed time schedule forced quicker decisions than she preferred for optimal accuracy. Her performance remained strong through the middle distances, but the 450-yard targets challenged her ability to make rapid ballistics calculations while maintaining precision technique. She completed the stage within time limits, though with less accuracy than her practice sessions had suggested was possible. "Time pressure definitely affects my mental calculations," Sarah observed as they prepared for the field shooting stages. "I need more practice making ballistics adjustments quickly and accurately." The field stages tested Sarah's adaptation skills as she worked to create stable shooting positions from improvised support points. Her engineering background helped her analyze structural stability, but translating theoretical understanding into practical shooting performance proved challenging. Her scores decreased noticeably during field shooting, confirming Marcus's assessment that position shooting remained an area requiring extensive practice and development. However, her fundamental technique remained sound, suggesting that experience with field positions would improve her performance significantly. "Field shooting is definitely my weakest area," Sarah acknowledged as they moved to the long-range stage. "The precision requirements are similar, but creating consistent stability from natural positions requires skills I haven't developed." The 500-yard stage would provide Sarah's greatest challenge and most significant learning opportunity. At this distance, all environmental factors became critical, and small errors in technique or calculation resulted in noticeable misses. Sarah's first shot at maximum distance struck the target but outside the high-scoring zones, indicating that her ballistics calculation or wind reading needed adjustment. Her correction for the second shot moved the impact closer to center, demonstrating her ability to analyze feedback and make appropriate changes. Her subsequent shots maintained reasonable accuracy for the challenging conditions, creating a group that would have been impressive from any competitor. More importantly, her systematic approach to problem-solving remained effective even under the stress of maximum distance shooting. "Outstanding performance at 500 yards, Marcus commented as Sarah completed the stage. "Your ability to make corrections and maintain consistency at that distance shows real potential for long-range competitive shooting." The final scenario stage would test all competitors' ability to adapt to unexpected challenges. This year's stage required engaging multiple targets at unknown distances using estimated range calculations and rapid sight adjustments. Sarah approached the stage with the same analytical methodology she had applied throughout the competition. Working through the range estimation process systematically, she engaged targets with precision that reflected her growing competitive maturity. When competition concluded Saturday evening, Sarah had achieved scores that placed her in the middle of the field, an impressive result for someone competing in her first regional championship. More importantly, her performance had attracted attention from experienced competitors and match officials. Sarah Mitchell, announced Rebecca Martinez during the closing ceremony, receives recognition as outstanding new competitor for demonstrating exceptional skill development and competitive potential. The award represented acknowledgement from the regional shooting community that Sarah's rapid advancement and analytical approach to precision shooting marked her as a competitor to watch in future events. "How do you feel about your championship experience?" Marcus asked as they collected equipment after the ceremony. "Humbled and educated," Sarah replied thoughtfully. "The competition level was much higher than I expected, but I can see clear areas for improvement and development." Several national-level competitors approached Sarah during the post-match social gathering, expressing interest in her background and competitive goals. Her systematic approach to skill development and rapid advancement had created recognition within the precision shooting community. "Have you considered national-level competition?" asked David Chen, a multiple-time national champion. "Your analytical approach and natural precision suggest you could compete effectively at higher levels with proper preparation." Sarah looked to Marcus for guidance before responding.
I hadn't considered national competition, but I'm certainly interested in continuing to develop my skills and test them against stronger competition. Marcus felt genuine pride in Sarah's achievements and the recognition she had earned from respected competitors. National competition would be a significant commitment in terms of time and preparation, but Sarah's development suggests she could handle that challenge. As the gathering concluded and competitors began departing, Marcus reflected on the remarkable journey that had brought them to this point. What had begun as basic target setup assistance had evolved into a mentoring relationship that was producing a genuinely talented competitive shooter.
Ready to start thinking about national competition preparation?
Marcus asked as they loaded equipment for the drive home. Definitely, Sarah replied with the same determination that had characterized her approach to every shooting challenge.
This championship has shown me what's possible with proper training and preparation.
I want to see how far these skills can develop. The drive home provided time to discuss Sarah's competitive future and the training required for advancement to national-level competition. Her rapid development had already exceeded Marcus's initial expectations, and her continued dedication suggested even greater achievements were possible. More importantly, the mentoring relationship that had developed between them had enriched both their understanding of precision shooting and their appreciation for the analytical and mental challenges that made competitive marksmanship such a rewarding pursuit. As they reached home, both Marcus and Sarah were already planning the advanced training regimen that would prepare her for the next level of competitive challenge. The championship experience had confirmed that Sarah's exceptional natural ability, combined with systematic training and analytical thinking, could achieve remarkable results in precision shooting sports. The journey that had begun with Marcus placing his rifle in Sarah's hands during basic training had evolved into something neither had anticipated: the development of a potentially elite competitive shooter and a mentoring partnership that continued to push the boundaries of what both believed was possible in precision marksmanship education.